Hello everyone.
Hi
Hello
there.
Chila,
Hello,
hello Igor, hello the audience. How are you, Chila?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you, Tiago?
I'm also fine, I'm great. And you, Igor, how are you?
I'm doing good, Tiago. Thanks for asking. And about you?
I'm fine, and I'm really happy to have here another guest that knows a lot about Kotlin. We have today Marian. Marian have more than 20 years of experience with Java and also with Kotlin. Uh, and not only that, he also have experience with other things related with Java, so REST API and other cool stuff. Uh, and I don't know, Chila, if you can bring Marion
Yeah.
here. Hello, Marion. How are
Hello.
you?
Hi, Maria.
Hello, Maria.
If you wanna speak a little bit about you, and then we can bring the top that it's Kotlin. The last week, no, 2 weeks before. We 2 weeks ago we have Lucas here, and we talk a lot about Kotlin. However, 1 hour it's not enough to talk about everything that Kotlin can brings and all the benefits that Kotlin have. So maybe Marion, you can talk a little bit more about it, and also maybe how we as a developer can convince our boss that having Kotlin in our projects is a good idea.
Yes, yes, definitely. I saw the previous episode, and many things were discussed. But I would like to show maybe some different angles and different contexts. Can I maybe share one page?
Yeah, but before jumping into your presentations, Maria, I believe that we can welcome one of our teammates here as well. Hugo, join us here as too. So he can also discuss with us about all of the power of Kotlin and what this can bring for us if you're a Java developer or if you develop anything else.
So, yeah, thanks, Igor. So, hello, everyone. Yeah, today I had a small, I delayed a bit to be here, but thanks a lot. I could be on time to participate in this discussion, and I'm really curious because last session was very good with Lucas bringing some of the Kotlin features, right? Comparing both languages, and we did compare with not any Java version, but the Java 21 that was far better than it was before. It had lots of improvement on the syntax sugar and other stuffs, other features that it brings. And still really interesting to see Kotlin bringing lots of other interesting features, especially for developers to be more productive. So yeah, I'm really curious to see more, learn more about 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 Kotlin features, and yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, Marian, to accepting the invitation, and yeah, we can jump into your presentation. Thanks all.
Okay, I'm just not sure if my setup of the browser allows sharing actually, but I'll try.
Yeah, it's here on the stream. Oh, sorry.
Okay, great. Then it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I have a whole talk about what Kotlin can bring to Java developers. I did it twice already, but I think this kind of event that we have here is more informal and has a potential to be more interactive. and also we already had the previous session with Lucas. So I will only maybe use some parts of this presentation that I did, and I will concentrate on some interactive parts. But maybe just to quickly tell who I am. I'm a freelance contractor, a software engineer, and what I like to do is connecting, and that it has two meanings. The first is connecting systems, which is typically like using APIs, creating integrations, but not only that. Uh, when we are doing integrations, a common motive, common reason for it is that we have some old system which still has a lot of business value, and we want to connect it to something new. We want to expose it to some new channels, or want to connect it to something else. but but it's not the only way we can connect, and I think Kotlin is actually an opportunity also to take some legacy software written in Java and connect it to something new, and to start using new ways of developing software. So that's why connecting systems also applies to this topic. And connecting people is also very important, because on software projects there are usually different people in different roles, and they need to cooperate. They need to work together. They need to understand each other. We have people who are non-coders, and we have people who write code. We have people that are somewhere in between, like architects, etc. And we need them to work together. And my presentation is also about connecting Kotlin people or Kotlin community with Java community, because I think uh, many together we can do more, basically. And also here is a link to a free ebook that I created when I was preparing this presentation. It's like an extended version of the talk, containing also links to resources and some explanation text that I wouldn't have time to present. So in case you're interested and you want to know more, you can use this link to register, and you may also learn about some other stuff that I'm producing, some other content, like the book that I'm writing about APIs and other things. Okay, that's maybe for the introduction. And maybe I will. Okay. I will just go with the presentation, but I will go skip maybe some slides. Let's see. Basically, okay. I am a Java guy, like many of people joining here, uh, and I will probably always be a Java guy. And but I did have the opportunity to use Kotlin in an unusual situation. It was using Kotlin on backend with Spring Boot, so not for Android development. And this experience basically was the root for my intention to let Java guys know more about Kotlin. Maybe here are some interesting statistics. This is from last year's Stack Overflow Developer Survey. So Java guys can be calm. Java is still much more used language than Kotlin. But at the same time, we know there are multiple JVM languages. And if we take a look at that, we can already see that Kotlin has already overtaken JVM languages that have been around for longer, like Groovy and Scala. So it is an important player, and I will also explain why. Uh, okay, and one thing that also I think is brought the experience with Kotlin brought me is that I started to be more curious and more interested in new Java versions, because basically every new Java version brings new syntax improvements, and many of them resemble what we have in Kotlin, and they make sense. And this nice picture is yeah, I have three kids, and if you have kids, you probably have seen this. The kid says, "I don't like this food. I don't want to eat it." And you ask, "Okay, but have you tried it?" "No, I haven't, but I know I won't like it." And that's the approach that we want to avoid. Basically, the point of why I do this presentation is that you can't tell if you really like something or if something is good for you if you haven't tried it, because then it's still just theoretical, and you don't really get to taste it. So that's maybe if the only thing that you get from this, you should at least try Kotlin, and then you will see if it makes sense for you. Another thing, I told you at the beginning that I like to connect people in different roles. And even though maybe we have mostly developers here who write code, but in your projects, you usually have to work with other people who are more interested in money than code. And these people are usually interested in deadlines and budgets. And in order to meet these goals, they need efficiency and productivity. And maybe they sometimes they forget, but it makes sense to do it long term, not just short term, because of course we can have a productivity for a while, and then we get to the point that adding new features means breaking the old ones, and that's not what we want, because then the productivity drops actually. And I believe that two of important factors that contribute to efficiency and productivity of software development are code quality and motivation of the developers. So the developers want to do fun things. They don't want to, just try to understand some spaghetti code and be afraid to touch something because it will break. And I believe, okay, let's not jump ahead, but here's my first question to the audience. So, what does code quality mean to you? What what do you imagine when you say a code is of high quality? How should that such code look like? Do you have any ideas?
There is the book Clean Code. I think the Clean Code you have many reference what means clean code, and I think clean code and code quality are very close. Basically means
Mhm.
that a code that have quality, a good code, it's a code that it's easy to read and understand and maintain and evolve. What do you think?
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a code that's readable, it's well structured. If you get lost in the code, it's not easy to understand. That code does not have quality, and even through the time, things changes. If you have death code in your project, that's losing quality over time. So even to keep the code with quality, if you introduce new features and older does not make sense anymore, you need to be recycling and discarding old code as well. So it's all part of the code quality as well.
hmm yeah. So basically, I always say that the best pull request is the one where you delete the most lines of code.
Yeah.
Yeah, the code that does not have bug, it's the code that we do not write. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Has never been written. Yeah.
Yes, has not been written. Yeah.
Exactly, but
Okay.
even that pull request, you need to take careful and test it very well, especially if you're removing stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. So well tested code is of high quality. Yes, I agree. Okay. And this is what I come up with. Basically, I believe that quality code is usually short code, or at least it's not longer than necessary. That means it is uh, short but still expressive, so readable. So that means, of course, when something is long, it's harder to read usually, but of course, there are cases like maybe Perl language, that has some really interesting expressions using some special characters, and that's short but already not so readable. So, of course, there are some limits to this. So I would say good code is short and expressive. So uh, and maybe even better term for it is high signal over noise ratio. That means uh, when I look at the code, a great portion of it tells me some useful information, and only small part of it is there, just like delimiters and syntax uh, parts, syntactic parts that don't give me information. So that's the and actually, when we compare Kotlin to Java, Kotlin did a very good job at improving the signal over noise ratio. So to demonstrate it, this is the classic example of a Pojo or a Java bean, where basically the useful information is only in this blue rectangle, and everything else is just the noise, the getters, setters, toString, etc. And of course, you must say that this is already solved in Java in a way, because since Java 14 we have records. And yes, that's true. And actually, the record in Java is almost the same thing as data class in Kotlin. But in my opinion, record uh, doesn't solve everything. And here again is another point of discussion. Uh, do you have an idea where you cannot just use a record easily to replace classical Pojo, classical Java class with getters and setters?
Yeah, this is a good question because actually records are immutable, right? Or kind of. So if you want to have setters, we cannot use records in this. If you have a state, we cannot use record,
Yeah, so
right?
if you need a mutable object, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was exactly my point as well. If you need to change its values, records does not do the job. You need to stick with the Pojo object with all the
Mhm.
noise you just showed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things that uh, um, um,
Yeah,
yeah. So
as
so
you
so 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 for example, if you use Hibernate or JPA, then you need a mutable object. I want to say that in general, record or the idea that we should try to use immutable data is a good idea. And whenever we can, we should try to use immutable data structures. But there are situations where we cannot do it, or it doesn't just fit. So one example is the JPA, because the specification says that the object has to be mutable. Uh, another limitations of record is that it's a final class, so we cannot extend it. So this, for example, if we use Spring Boot or Spring, we want to create a Spring Bean. Uh, Spring wants to create proxy class from our, that is an extension of our class, and with record it's not doable. So again, there's a limitation. Another problem with record is that with the classic class or Java Bean, we use get to access the fields, and with record we use just the name of the field as the name of the method to access. This brings a little bit of an inconsistency and is also not so nice. In some situations brings some more burden on our heads when we deal with such code. And these limitations are not present in Kotlin, because of course Kotlin didn't have to bring record as a new thing. It has properties which are like getters and setters, but they are implicit, and only if you want to have some different behavior, then you can override the getters and setters, the accessors. But in I think in 99% of cases, you just want the default behavior that accesses those fields. And in that case, you can decide to also change this val, which means value, like immutable thing, to var, and you can decide to make this class or some fields of it can be mutable if you need it. Another thing, you can instead of using data class, you can use open class, which means a class that can be extended. Of course, this already means that you won't get the toString and hash code, because if you extend that class, then that would be inconsistent. But either way, the biggest part of that boilerplate code is basically the getters and setters, and these you still don't need to write. And the way how you access the class is still consistent. If it's data class or just normal class, it doesn't matter. You still access the fields the same way, and that's also nice. Another thing that usually most Java guys know is using Lombok, which is kind of a cure for this problem. We use some annotations, and we can get rid of the boilerplate code. But maybe do you have an idea where Lombok can be a problem, or do you like Lombok actually? What's your opinion?
Personally, I got rid of Lombok a long time ago, because then you don't know what is being changed, because it's allowing with setting an object. And in some situations, I had a problem where I had an object which was mutable, and you just could not see where the problem was, who changed that object. So it was just easier to get rid of it, and then going ahead with the immutable object. There's such unwanted effects just don't come up that easily.
Yeah, basically, it is really a hard decision, because on the one hand, it really helps you shorten the code. On the other hand, it's what I don't like about Lombok, especially. A similar thing actually we have with Mapstruct. Mapstruct is also an annotation processor, where you use some annotations and it generates some code based on the annotations. But the difference is that with Mapstruct, you have an interface, and the annotation processor generates an implementation of the interface. So the generated stuff is separated from the code that you write manually. But in the case of Lombok, the code is generated in place, so it replaces your class. And that basically means that the source code for your class doesn't match the bytecode that you get. So this can be this means that any tools that you use with your classes need to understand that and support that. So sometimes, especially if you package that class in a jar and then use it in some other project as a dependency, that can create some problems. And another thing is what I don't like, that when you write code with Lombok, then you basically write code in some new language that is like Lombok Java, because the conversion from the source code to the bytecode depends on two things: on the version of Java that you use and on the version of Lombok that you use. And basically, having this double dependency means more combinations of things that you can get, and more chance to some for some unexpected results. So yeah, that's probably similar to what Chila said, that there are some things hidden from you, and it can have some strange consequences. So, and basically, if you are already writing code in some language that is not the proper Java, so then it's very close to actually choosing a different language that is properly defined, like Kotlin, right? So that's the argument for this. Okay, then we have some other interesting stuff in Kotlin, but I think last time Lucas showed you many of them, so I will just go quickly through this.
Marian,
And yeah,
sorry to interrupt you, but because you're talking about Lucas, Lucas is here on the chat. Hello, Lucas. And he also shared, I don't know, Chilor, if you can.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. He also shared that he
okay,
likes the
he was
functionality of
also the
Lombok,
comment. Mhm.
but this is one of the reasons he also loves Kotlin because do not need to have Lombok. And I totally agree with him that I do either like the idea of an external library to get those functionalities, because
Yeah,
having this kind of dependency it's very
Mm-hmm.
bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe at a certain level or certain version of Java, we will have these Lombok features into the Java itself. Um, Maybe in the
where we
future. I
maybe, but it's like not it we maybe we will be surprised, but it's hard to introduce such things and keep the compatibility. That's the problem. But maybe they will figure out something.
Yeah, that's always an
And
issue.
another thing, we don't know when, right? We need to write
Yeah,
code today and not in
yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, I totally agree what you guys mentioned about Lombok. The issues that I had it was exactly when I was building libraries to be imported into other projects. But for most of the use cases, when I was just building service that will just run for that code, I I, I do use it and it works fine. It works kind of fine. And even if you don't want to use Lombok for your final code, you do have some features like the Lombok in some IDs like IntelliJ that you can see the code that Lombok is generating. So instead of versioning the code with the Lombok annotations, you can version it with the Lombok version. Of course, it will generate all the noise you just mentioned, all getters, setters, equals, and hash code into the code.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I also use Lombok, or the project that I work on uses Lombok, and I just go with it. And I don't say it's like bad and you shouldn't use it at all. Of course, it has its place, but it has risks, like any tool. So that's the idea, that it's not free, right? And yeah, exactly. It's a little bit sad, basically, that Java, which is a language that is over 25 years old, and in order to write a nice syntax, you need to depend on a library. That's a little bit sad about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have some other things, like with records, uh, sometimes we need to modify, and if we want to modify a record as a immutable structure, we need to copy it, or we need to create a new instance, and for this in pure Java, we don't have a good support. With Kotlin, we have this copy method, and it's really nice. But I maybe I will skip all these details and uh, basically I just want to, or maybe I will come to this later, but all these things like nullability support, immutability support, better syntax for functional things like some pipelines of second order functions, filtering, mapping, and so on. So all this is I call it syntactic. Many say that it's just syntactic sugar, but I say it's syntactic sugar synergy. That means in Kotlin we have so many different things which are nicer on in the syntax that when you combine them together, it creates a powerful effect that is not this is more than the sum of these individual things. That's the idea that the experience using the language is like multiplied and not just sum of these things. Okay, maybe I will just come back also to some other interesting principle, and that's basically that was one of the things that were great when I started with Java back in the 90s. That the principle of Java is that it makes the common things easy, or at least many in the 90s when you had to program something in C++, it wasn't so easy, and you had like the memory management with garbage collector. You get Unicode characters. So if you had to manage different languages, it worked very nicely and in a standard way. You had threading support, concurrency support, networking support. Even that was problematic at the beginning with Windows, for example. And so the common things that you need in a typical applications were very easy. You didn't have to write a lot of boilerplate code again. You had to you can concentrate on the business side of things. But still you have the doors open for even uncommon things. So the API, the Java APIs are provide you ways to customize things, and you can do very you can use Java almost anywhere, and that's the great thing. But now the problem is that what's common changes in time, and that's basically the unfair advantage of Kotlin, that it's 20 years younger. So one of those things that have changed is that now in the 90s the king of programming was object-oriented programming. Now the situation is a little bit different, and in many situations we prefer other paradigms of programming, mostly functional programming or data driven programming, where we uh, don't insist on encapsulating both the data and the operations in one place. We concentrate on the data structures holding just the data, and the operations just some filters that the data passes through. And this had to be introduced in Java as an afterthought or as an addition. And it's of course not so easy to introduce such things uh, while maintaining some compatibility with the old code. So uh, and even in Java, we have some situations where the compatibility is not 100%. For example, this underscore, now in Java 22, it has a different meaning than it had in before Java 8. Before Java 8, it could be like a normal variable. Now it is like unnamed variable that is just a placeholder, but you cannot read from it. What else would I show you regarding immutability? Again, immutability is a great thing. You should try to use it wherever you can. And again, this is reflected in Kotlin in that way that you have a separate interfaces for immutable collections and for mutable collections. In Java, again, for historical reasons, we have just collection frameworks collection interfaces that are like mutable, and you can create immutable implementations. For example, if even in Java you have list.of, and it will create an immutable list, but you still can do like list.add, and it will only shout at you at runtime, which is not nice. In Kotlin, it's much better because you get the error at compile time, and you immediately can see that you're doing something wrong. Nullability that was discussed last time. It's called the $1 billion mistake. And also in the concurrency area, in Java 21, we have virtual threads, which is a very interesting feature. But what we still don't have fully finalized is a thing that's called structured concurrency. It is still in preview, I think, in Java 22. And basically that's uh, for ensuring that when we create multiple threads that run in concurrently, we want to also make sure that they terminate together, so that we prevent that when one of the threads finishes or fails, that the other ones continue running in an uncontrolled way. And Kotlin again has some constructs like the suspend functions, where you just use the curly braces to delineate the asynchronous code, and then basically that concurrent parts shouldn't escape without notice. String interpolation again is an interesting thing that's coming to Java, but it's still not finalized. And the syntax in proposed in Java is a little bit more complex, again because of the compatibility. maybe it will bring something better than what we have in Kotlin, but it's still not finalized. And what this is also an interesting sentence. Many Java programmers uh, are just satisfied with what they have, how they used to write code, and they say, okay, I need to finish this program, and I don't have time to upgrade to a new Java, or to even to study what the new Java versions bring. And so that's not a very good approach, because that basically means I cannot make myself more efficient. And I think one problem basically that this involves is that uh, the new Java versions come every 6 months, which is maybe a good thing, because they come quite. You don't have to wait so long for a new version, but also in every new version of Java, you only get some small set of improvements, uh, especially in the syntax. And I think many Java programmers think about it like, okay, if it's just these I don't know, two or three things are improved, why should I upgrade to this new version? It's I'm not motivated for it. And then usually they just skip from so-called LTS versions. So they go from maybe Java 11 to Java 17, and then to Java 21. But then again, it's sometimes more difficult also, because when you want to use the new Java syntax, like we said, okay, well, for example, we can use maybe in some new Java version we will have better support for nullability checks, or something else. But we will all, I once had this problem that I was eagerly waiting for Java 17 because of records. And then I found out that the customer didn't support Java 17 on their build pipelines, that they were centralized in Jenkins, and on the runtimes that they used. So then I had to downgrade again from Java 17 to Java 11. So this is again an interesting idea, that you can use Kotlin as an additional layer that lets you use great, nice new syntax, but you still can continue using the runtime JVM version of your choice, because okay, where is it? Okay, I don't have it here, but current Kotlin versions can generate bytecode for JVM from version 8. And the first Kotlin versions, the older Kotlin versions, were able even to generate bytecode for Java 6. So it gives you also some kind of an independence on the runtime. And there's Kotlin was designed for great interoperability, and that's actually what I can show you as a some live coding demo if you want. I hope it will work. I have a Java application here. It's from my blog about how to consume SOAP web service using Spring, and
Uh,
basically the
Marion,
source.
can you give a little bit of zoom in a little bit? Yeah, thank you. Right,
So
better.
it's just for illustration purposes. This is the GitHub repository. Uh, if you go to my blog, you can even, if you have that link that I will show you again, maybe there's this blog as well, and also in the ebook, of course, that you can download. But basically, if I clone this source code, I have a Java application, and it's just a very simple one, simple integration application that converts numbers into words. So, for example, if I put here 1, 2, 3, 4, it will say $1,234. It's using some public web service. And now, if I decide to start introducing Kotlin into this existing project, it's
Uh,
not hard.
Sorry,
It just
Marion, can you give a little bit more zoom again? Zoom in a little bit.
when is it done? It used to be here somewhere.
If you prefer, you can go on settings and then search for zoom.
Yeah, you need to change it from there, from the settings. On the code font size.
Size. Alt Shift dot. Doesn't work.
But for anyone that is watching us at full screen, you will be able to read it if you're not on a small device, of course. If you're on any computer, you will be able to read it.
Yeah, I hope it's better now. Okay,
Yeah.
so so uh, basically here this project uses Maven because that's the more used build tool for Java. For Kotlin, many people use Gradle, but in this case, this is based on Maven, and it has Java version here. I will also add a property with the Kotlin version, and I will add some dependencies so that it compiles the Kotlin code besides the Java code. So I will add them here, and I will add the plugin. Basically, no, these dependencies are the Kotlin standard libraries, because Kotlin, of course, is not just a language, but it also has an API, its own implementations of some libraries. But I will also add a plugin to compile the code in Kotlin. And so I will go to plugins, I already have a plugin to generate code from the API specification. And do I need something more? Let's try to refresh. And now, besides Java, I will create a Kotlin source directory. And I want to convert this number controller into Kotlin. So I will create a Kotlin class with the same name. And okay, I want to do it in the same package. So this, I'll move it. Okay, I'll create a new one. And now what I'll do, I'll copy the code of the Java class and paste it into the Kotlin file. And IntelliJ offers me to convert it automatically. And basically, it worked without any manual work. And if we compare the two, I can see that I already shortened the code because it is a Spring Bean, and so I don't need this explicit constructor dependency injection and the separate field definition. So now I'll delete the Java class, and I can continue modifying the Kotlin version, basically to demonstrate the strengths of Kotlin. Another thing, if you work in a finance industry, it's quite common that you need to work with monetary amounts and exact and large numbers. You usually use big decimal for that. So, and in Java, it's not nice that you need to use method invocations and you cannot use the normal operators. In Kotlin, it is possible to override operators and use them. So here, let's say that we have a tax for this monetary amount. So let's say the tax rate is, I don't know, 15%. Like this. And now we will have amount is this one, and amount with tax will be amount plus amount times tax rate divided by 100. So it's much more readable. And here I will use the string interpolation. So I will say without tax, I'll just put this into braces and with tags. And I'll do the same, but okay, I don't need, I already have this, so I can replace this with amount. And I will put amount with tax here. Okay, let's try it. I hope I didn't make a bug here. Okay, let's see. Okay, it seems it works. So now we have with tax $104 and $19. So you can see that it's pretty simple. And now I have Java code and Kotlin code side by side, and it is almost as if when you have old Java syntax, like some old code written in, I don't know, Java 8, and besides that you start using records and switch expressions and new syntax. Here it's a little bit more separated, but still uh, you can see that I'm referring to a Java class here, and it works very seamlessly. Okay, let's see if I have more to do to show you.
Can move and work with them together pretty simple, right? Because IntelliJ is helping you on the conversion from Java code to Kotlin and the conversation between the languages between Java and Kotlin without any issues at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but I have a question here. To make it interchangeable, then you just need to add. I think I missed the moment that you add some dependency there to make it work. But it was as straightforward as is, or the IntelliJ IDE is doing something behind the scenes to make it compatible, interchangeable.
Uh, IntelliJ, here I only use IntelliJ. I used IntelliJ to do the conversion from Java to Kotlin for this one class. And but the interoperability between Kotlin and Java, that's just a feature of Kotlin. So basically, if I'm for example, here in the Java code, I have uh, this is a class. So, for example, in Java, if I want to create new instance of a class, I write new and name of the class. In Kotlin, I write it without the new. So I can access the Java code as if it was Kotlin code, just using the Kotlin syntax. So that's
Mm.
the idea. So yes, but that's maybe one of the weaknesses of Kotlin, and I'm coming to it now. That right now we only have IntelliJ IDEA like with the proper support for Kotlin, whereas with Java we have multiple IDEs, but also IntelliJ is very popular. So most Java programmers already use IntelliJ IDEA, so it's not such a big problem.
I see. I see.
And And so now let's take a look at, okay, also if you look at for example Spring Boot, Spring Initializer, you can directly generate stuff for your project in Kotlin. Even if you want to use Gradle, even in your build scripts, you can use Kotlin instead of Groovy. And if you go to Spring documentation, you can switch to Kotlin, and you immediately see the examples in Kotlin, so you don't have to think too much about how it will look in Kotlin syntax. So really, even the frameworks try to support Kotlin. And now, again, if I already said that the first argument for the non-coder people, that Kotlin, by bringing you better code quality, can actually increase the efficiency of your project, because you don't make so many bugs and you don't spend so much time investigating some things that don't work. The code is more readable, more maintainable. But another thing that you may deal with is, okay, but there are not so many people on the market who are Kotlin developers. But actually, this is not really a big problem, because it can be even an advantage, actually, because if you if your hiring manager mentions Kotlin in a job description, it may help to filter those developers who understand the quality and know that it's important, and also the developers who are eager to learn things, because in a typical project you always have to learn new things, and people who know how to learn are very valuable. Also, you can get developers from outside of the JVM or Java world. For example, Android developers who want to become full stack developers. And also, if you young guys, they some of them don't like Java. They feel like it's an old language, a legacy technology, and Kotlin might be more attractive to such people. And of course, the obvious way is to just hire Java developers and let them learn Kotlin. And from my experience, I can tell you that it's really quite quick. You can, for a Java developer, can learn the Kotlin syntax in a few weeks. Then maybe it takes another few weeks or months to start writing really idiomatic Kotlin, and not just Java code with Kotlin syntax. But you can really get productive very quickly, and usually you spend more time learning the business domain than learning Kotlin. And of course, you can start small. So you can first use Kotlin for non-production code, and especially a great place to start is tests, because especially in tests, there is a lot of boilerplate code, and testing code that is hard to read discourages developers from maintaining the tests. So having nice syntax for your tests can basically can help increase your test coverage, which is again a great thing to increase the quality of your project and efficiency. One small syntax example here with backticks. You can use any string as an identifier in Kotlin, which is handy in tests. So you can use a human readable name for your tests. You don't need to have a separate display name annotation. And here are the extension functions that can be also very handy to get some test data and convert types and so on. Those are things that you often need in tests. And one more. Okay, this is already beyond just backend, and this is again some philosophical thing. Uh, the original Java, when I what motivated me to start with Java was this write once, run anywhere. Again, in the 90s and early 2000s, it was like unbelievable that you could write a program that ran on Windows and on Unix systems, and even it could have a GUI, like a desktop GUI, and it worked. So that was great. But now, again, the world has moved on, and most of the UIs are web UIs, and unfortunately, on the browser side, we in the 90s we had Java applets. I don't know if you know applets, but that was what I started with, where I started with Java. There was programs in Java that ran in a web browser, but now the browser or client side of web applications is dominated by JavaScript, of course, and Kotlin is moving to this multi-platform approach, and that includes UI. So it has a compose framework, and this helps you to write even GUI applications for different target platforms. So you can cross-compile Kotlin to JavaScript, for example, and let it run on a browser. Of course, you have first-class support for Android, but also there is a support for iOS. If you want a big client, it can run on different native environments. And another interesting thing is when you compile Kotlin into native code, it's usually smaller and takes less memory compared to code compiled from Java using the Graal VM. So it can be also suitable for embedded systems that have limited resources. And one thing that's quite interesting for the future is WebAssembly. And some people predict that WebAssembly may replace Docker containers for backend stuff, for server side stuff, because basically you don't need an operating system to run some backend service usually. So that's another target where you can use Kotlin. And another interesting idea is that is the full stack development. That's quite relevant because of agile development. The product owners in an agile team, they usually prefer to structure tasks by functions, by business features, and they don't care if it's front end or back end. So they like if people are full stack, so they can do both the front end and the back end. Now with JavaScript and TypeScript, because even JavaScript guys they started to understand that for large projects it makes sense to have a statically typed language. So they invented TypeScript, and TypeScript can be run both on the client and on the server. So if we don't want to be limited, we can also think about the way how to grow from backend to the front end. And Kotlin with this multi-platform feature uh, is such a potential, has such a potential. So again, I don't want to say that Java is bad or that you should stop using Java. I also still use Java, but experience with Kotlin can help you to look at Java with different eyes. You will maybe pay more attention to new Java versions, to new features that can improve the way you create the software, and that's basically it from my slides. But here's again the link to my contact page where you can get more from me. But maybe I don't know if there's some more discussion that we want to have about this. I'm eager to answer your questions if you have some.
Before everything, thank you, Mariam, for your talk, for everything that you have shared. I have one question regarding to code quality. Have you tried to get a project with Java that maybe have several code smells, maybe using Sonar, and then try to migrate it to Kotlin and see how it changes just by changing from Java to Kotlin? Have you tried that or not?
I don't have such like no, I cannot give you numbers because basically the project where I worked with Kotlin already used Kotlin from the start, and I do use Kotlin besides Java in some hobby projects that I use that I develop, but I don't. That's just a hobby project where I don't measure it using Sonar, and even if I measured it, it would be quite bad because it's I don't have time to do it properly. But yeah, that's an interesting idea. And probably also the rules for Java and Kotlin would be different for even for Sonar. So I don't know if the numbers would be actually comparable. But maybe, yeah, maybe if you took just some area like for example, as I mentioned, that using Kotlin for writing tests could help you improve test coverage. Then maybe that could be measured if it really helps. But yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
I,
I
I
don't know
can't
it.
I can't give you any concrete numbers.
Yeah, no problem. But in your experience, the projects that used Kotlin, in your experience, they are better, right? The code quality. At least it seems to be better, right? Based on your experience.
Well, at least from yeah, I said there are two factors: code quality and developer happiness. So at least I would say the developer happiness is higher, and yeah, I believe that the code quality is also higher. But yes. Mm, Um, that that's a good point. That managers usually want to see numbers, and maybe the numbers could be like a number of defects, for example. That would be maybe an interesting measure. Uh, but yeah, I must say that the topic of this of my talk should be like how to convince your colleagues to start using Kotlin. And I must say that I myself wasn't so much successful so far with convincing other people, but that's why I actually spread this information, and somebody else can be quicker than me in convincing others. But yes, uh, I am on this way. On the current project, I just started recently, and I already learned that there are some other teams at the same company who use Kotlin. The team that I am in uses Java, so one of my plans is to start to spread that Kotlin into also our code, but there are, I'm still struggling with the business domain basically. So yeah, it's not that easy, but
But
I
yeah, it's not so hard to have Kotlin and Java working, right? So it's an option, and as
yeah.
you show, there are
Another thing,
many good
actually,
features.
in the previous projects, maybe I also wasn't as successful because I didn't have all the arguments prepared. But then I decided to create this presentation, and now I have all the arguments together in one place. So it's maybe I will it will help me to discuss this with other people. So that's also sometimes you learn something. You only learn something properly when you teach it to someone. So that's why I'm teaching you about Kotlin, so that I learn its benefits for myself.
Well, that's cool, Marian. And I have a couple of questions actually. Curiosity. I was curious about the if people are really going through migrating. There are many projects that actually is migrating from Java to Kotlin. I because I think it's kind of investment. I know that Kotlin can interchangeably run with Java, but if I am the owner of the code of the or manager, uh, I wouldn't like to have two type of code, two type of language in my project because yeah, I don't know if I will go until the end on these, especially those large large projects. So I don't know if there's other. I know that developer experience is really good for productivity, but I don't know if it will be it will compensate the time that we will spend to be rewriting everything, right? So that, I think that's a challenging stuff to move from one to another. uh, Other stuff is regarding to that compose multi-platform UI. I was really curious regarding to that. I see lots of. I send a page into the chat for the audience so they can also open the link. But really interesting to have this multi-platform. They're already Android first first choice, but we are also with desktop. I don't know how it works on desktop. I was curious regarding to that because we have JavaFX on Java side. We can. I think that we can use JavaFX on Kotlin, but I think they have their own uh, GUI library. Uh, they, I'm curious how it runs on iOS, and also they are developing WASM implementation for web. So yeah, they are really targeting all the platform. That's really cool. I think address a lot of uh, dream dreams that everyone wants to deploy on, and you have everywhere the same logic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
you're
mentioned
right.
before, right? It seems to be that this is a new version of White Ones Run Anywhere. This is
Yes,
what
yes,
they want
as
to accomplish.
exactly as Marian shared on the slides, right? And yeah,
Exactly.
that's true. There are places that we don't play really well with Java, like web. We don't write uh, unless you write you use those engines on the backend that writes the HTML, but uh, on the side, not Java code that's running on the browser, right? But go ahead,
Yeah,
Marian. I was curious about your points. Yo,
and then
sorry.
as Hugo mentioned, yes, I agree that it's not ideal that you have a code base consisting of two languages like Java and Kotlin. But another argument would be if you have a front end and back end, then today usually you have a front end in TypeScript and back end in Java, and you have to use two different languages. And with Kotlin, you could have just one. So yeah,
It's true as well.
uh, I don't say this is maybe still like out of the mainstream, but it can open new horizons.
Yes, yes, that's true. I'm just thinking about TypeScript, and TypeScript is the superset of the JavaScript to bring these typed features for JavaScript, and uh, sounds better to use something like Kotlin that is natively strong typed language for if you need to write
And
something that is strong
it's
typed.
not just a language. If it was just a language, learning TypeScript is not such a big deal. But with JavaScript and TypeScript, you have a completely different build system. You use NPM. You have
It's true.
completely
The
different
whole environment.
dependency structure. So it's a completely separate world that you have to manage. And so that's not very nice.
Cool.
Any other questions, guys?
If you do not have any more questions, I
Yeah,
do not see any questions here in the chat. So if it's that,
I
I
guess.
don't know if anyone wants to add a final word.
Yeah, my final word would see that we could see that we can get it a mix of Java and Kotlin, as we have all seen also in the previous session with Lucas, even more with Mariam now. Thanks a lot for bringing it all for us, Mariam. It was really interesting to see, even with a live code here during this session, hands on, and getting to know all of these new and good features about Kotlin. It looks a lot promising. So it's a good thing to keep up and put on your toolbox as a Java developers. This is what I would mention.
Yep, I think I can add it here. I get more and more curious here with this environment. I hope to have some free time to try it out. But there is not just the multi-platform. I also see a Kotlin notebook that is something similar to Jupyter Notebook, but with Kotlin. So there's many other things, data frame implementation with Kotlin. So yeah, that's interesting also for people that deals with this data science environment. So yeah, really curious. It does seems to be a very complete environment and support for the user. Maybe my next try out language.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Hugo. And it was what Marian said. I think we need to try and not think, oh, I do not like that without trying. So I think this is a good opportunity to do that. Marian show us how is it's to start using it, and also Marian share some links and some content that he have done and can help us doing that starting. So yeah, these are my final words. Thank you all. I don't know, Chila, if you wanna add something else.
No, I think everything is already said. So I also found it very interesting. So I think it's time to try it out and see how it works.
Yeah, totally agree. Marion, I pass the word to you. I don't know if you wanna add something else. A final
Well,
word.
yeah, I think it's you said it already. Really, back to this nice slide. Uh, okay, yeah, it's off.
But we have the image in
This
our
one,
mind. The girl trying
this one.
to avoid health food. Yeah.
Don't just make these faces. Really do something to learn more. Okay, and
Yeah, let's try this food, this Kotlin food.
Yeah.
A good one.
Great.
Okay. So thank you all.
Thank
See
you,
ya.
guys. See you in
Thanks
the next.
everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Mariam.
Thank you.
Thank you all,
See
guys.
you.
bye.